Discord, and then we can actually start the interview itself. Okay, perfect. Let me also check that everything is working properly on my end on the stream, so there is no lag. This new layout of Twitch is so weird, by the way.
No, we're thinking of doing streams as well,
You
but like
should, you
just
should, by the way, while game
yeah, yeah,
navigating.
we're thinking of it.
That's
We're
very
thinking of it.
popular nowadays, yeah, and you can grow your community with that as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
we're thinking of doing something like
yeah.
just but more like gaming and things because
It would be
we're a
also
huge
fun.
family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
would be
just like
also
fun
fun,
content.
like
Yeah,
to play with the community. You know, it's also I
yeah,
think
yeah,
what helps like grow your community and people who are
100%.
interested in your game. Okay, let me sit into my original position here, as I'm always saying. Ladies and gentlemen, on the stream, let us know. By the way, let us know if we can start. If the audio video quality is good, there's no lag, no FPS drop. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. I have so many cables here, oh my god. My cable work is like terrible nowadays. Let us know. Let us know. I will double check myself as well, so we don't have to wait that much. Okay, it seems there is no lag, and then the voice is good. So it seems there is no lag. Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, let me know. Let me know if we can start.
We're ready.
Let me know. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the very new episode of my Dev Live show. Today, I'm joined with all of the creators of Catatonic game. I would like to say, first of all, that I am very thankful and very honored that you joined us for today's episode. Like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please, each one of you, introduce yourself for us.
First, like to go ahead.
Okay.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Faras Al-Alawi. I'm one of the co-creators of Catatonic Game alongside my cousins Ahmed Al-Alawi, Muhammad Al-Alawi, and Muhammad Al-Zikri. We're all very, very passionate about our game Catatonic. I mainly do the marketing and I also work on creating the story. And this is something that you're going to notice a pattern of all of us doing something and working with each other on everything. And Ahmed, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ahmed. So I've been modding, actually making mods for video games for quite some time right now. So that basically was the kind of like the initiated our interest in wanting to do something for ourselves. So just to reiterate what Faris said, so my name is Ahmed. I'm the producer on Catatonic Game, but we wear different hats on Catatonic Game. So all of us do different things. Especially with indie gaming and indie game studios, we typically do we work alongside each other, we complete each other. So yeah, that's essentially what I do. I'll pass it over to the Muhammads for them to introduce themselves as well.
Okay.
Yeah, hi. My name is Muhammad Al-Zikri. I'm one of the co-creators of the game Catatonic, and also the composer of the game. And I do some of the level designs. And what else? What else do I do, guys? I'm the creative director as well.
I see. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
and
Alright,
last but
Muhammad?
not least, it's me, Muhammad. I handle the writing for the story, and basically I focus on bringing the characters to life and the world of Catatonic. And I'm also one of the co-creators and the co-founders of Unedited.
I see. I see. Thank you. Thank you for
One of the things that Muhammad also does, forgot to mention, is that he's also one of our talent. Like he communicates with the talent, so any voice acting and anything like that, he's the one
Yes.
that talks to them and brings them as well to us.
Nice.
That's correct. Yeah.
Thank you for that. My first real question would be, what was your very first contact with video games as a player, if you remember those times of your past? Again, of course, question goes to each one of you.
Okay, so I'll start. So the first time I've ever played video games, or at least my first memory of video games, was my brothers loved video games, so they had the PS1 at that time. and I was the youngest, so I'd just go and like sneakily go and play with their consoles. And I don't remember much of the game, but I remember playing a Metal Gear Solid game. I
Nice.
remember it was like it was a Metal Gear Solid game on the PS1. That was my first introduction to video games, and we have a huge family, and all of us love playing video games. So we kind of got like we that kind of made us grow closer with one another. We have games like Street Fighter,
Nice.
games like even the WWE wrestling games,
Nice, nice,
football
nice.
games. We love playing FIFA or like Pro Evolution as well at that time. And I think just the community of like the community of being gamers, that's what kind of got me into video games, just having that sort of community, and bringing everyone together and having fun. That was the epitome of my video game experience, I'd say.
I see. What about you?
I'd say so. The beautiful thing is we're all we're all family, so we're all cousins. So we actually grew up playing video games together as well. From games like wrestling games to Dragon Ball games at the time as well.
Nice,
Dragon Ball
nice,
Budokai.
nice.
We also, and of course, we love the single player narrative games. Like, for example, like for myself, I love Dark Cloud on the PlayStation 2, Clonua, which is one of the Namco's older games. And because Muhammad actually is my twin brother, so we grew up together, obviously, and we grew up playing co-op games. So our
Nice.
first really experience playing video games was on the Sega Genesis at the time. So one of our relatives, my uncle, is a huge gamer, and he introduced us to vintage consoles or classic consoles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the time, it was our first experience playing, game consoles like that. So to us, it wasn't really vintage. It was our first, let's say, exposure to to video games. But yeah, we grew up playing Sonic and games like that.
I see. Okay. What about you? You can keep, by the way, the same order.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember playing, the first Crash game. I think when was it? I think it was in the early 2000s. I remember heading to my cousin's place and playing the first Crash game.
Nice.
But I've never actually owned a PS1, but I remember
okay.
getting the PS2. And I would say my favorite game till this day, one of my favorites is Jak and Dexter, the first Jak and
Nice.
Dexter game.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Nice.
What
What-
about you, Muhammad?
As for me, yes, like my brother mentioned, my brother Ahmed, uh, basically we've been like playing video games for a long time, and
You
like
still
he
play
said,
it, right? So it's wonderful.
yeah, of course. We like he said, we played the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive as it's known in Europe, but at the same time we also played a Famiclone, like a
See?
like a family
Yeah,
game
yeah, yeah.
clone. Yeah, and basically during that time we played games like Super Mario Brothers, like tons of platforming games, and even action games. It was pretty much like a all-in-one, an all-in-one cartridge. They used to sell these things bundled with the consoles at the
I see,
time.
I see, I see, I see.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So from that point of all of your life, what was the transition and the click when you realized that okay, we love playing games alone and together as well, but we also would like to focus on making video games. So what was that click in your life, and when did it happen in your life? Again, of course, question goes to each one of you.
So that happened, I would say, around 2020.
Okay.
So that was when, like, the heights of COVID.
I see.
We were playing a lot of video games. Mohammed Zikri and I were just, Mohammed Zikri is, by the way, just a fun fact about him. He is, I think, number 2 or number 3 of the trophy
Uh,
collectors here in Bahrain, or maybe not
third.
anymore, but
Okay.
at
Nice.
the
Yeah.
time, he was the top 3 at the
Nice.
time,
GG,
trophy
GG.
collector.
Nice.
Yeah, so we were looking for like games and easy games to play and get like trophies. And yeah, and then we just saw like, a lot of games, and some were good, some were bad. And then we were just thinking to ourselves, why don't we love playing video games, and we have nothing but time now, especially during COVID. There's nowhere to go. We had nothing to do. We were together most of the time, so we're like, let's do it. And it started off as just like this, this bizarre idea of like, oh, how hard could it be? Let's just do it. But then we came to realize it's harder than we thought, but we did eventually like get to learn, because none of us have any gaming backgrounds.
I
It's
see.
just like, and when it comes to programming or anything like that, none of us have any of that. But yeah, that was the moment where it all clicked. That was the moment where everyone was starting having ideas. People started opening up businesses, and this is something that we've always loved to do, and we thought was impossible.
I see.
But the more time passes by, the more possible it seems like it is.
True. Very true. Very true. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's just like Faris said. So the idea really came about during COVID, the height of COVID.
I see.
Before that, I was one of the active, let's say, modders on the street, within the Street Fighter V modding community. So
see.
that having that background did help. But I never, like, I didn't understand coding or programming, especially in C sharp. But I dabbled here and there, and because the strong community, modding communities, as you know, I did learn a lot from them. And initially I started learning development through YouTube videos and different, let's say, developers, like for example Thomas Brush. His videos really helped for me to understand how to at least prototype the game, right? So I learned the basics through video, YouTube tutorials, and of course having that modding background did actually help as well a bit. So
I see. What about you?
Yeah, I do remember playing a really bad game with Faris. I don't know, Faris, if you remember.
Of course.
So we were like, why can't we develop our own game, And here we are. Here we are.
I see.
Yeah.
What about you? Is there anything that you would like to add?
Yes, I'd like to add regarding the regarding the style of the game, Catatonic.
Okay.
Basically, the idea came to us from watching those classic cartoons from the 30s and the 20s,
Nice.
such as the Mickey Mouse, the one about the Mad Doctor, and as well as cartoons that were made in the 90s and the 2000s, like Courage the Cowardly Dog, for its horror elements.
Nice.
Yeah, we actually grew up with these shows back in the day, so it kind of inspired us to go for a horror yet lighthearted, theme for the game. And I'd like to also add for Catatonic, the name actually came to be from a dream that my brother had.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he can talk more about that.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, and I know it might sound really cheesy now that we bring it up, but
No.
the name Catatonic and the whole kind of initial premise for Catatonic game is something that kind of came up in a dream that I had. It was one of those weird random dreams, At the time, I was watching a lot of cartoons, especially Courage the Cowardly Dog, and I was playing games that we grew up playing, especially those online flash games, right? So, I was playing those. Let's say they were converted to HTML5, and I was playing a lot of those
kind of games, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So I was that one night. I was playing a lot of these games and watching a lot of cartoons. So that night, I had this weird, odd dream of a cat falling down a void, a cat in a void filled with boxes, carton boxes, and and it was a cat, and then in this catatonic state, a state that's it's sort of like a coma, but not really a coma, and it just hit me, catatonic cat. It makes sense, it's a pun, right? So that's how the game came up to be, right? And then the initial kind of idea, yeah.
Nice. Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you. A more personal question, by the way, from me would be, do you believe that your parents, family members, and close friends were supportive about this decision of yours that you started working on video games? How do you feel about that? Again, the first question goes to each of you.
So I would say at first they didn't really see it as much of like anything serious. They're like, yeah, okay, this is, like, yeah, sure, do it, enjoy, and they didn't really. I would say they wanted to believe in it, but like it's a very hard thing, especially in Bahrain. There's there's not many, success stories, especially when it comes to, video game development. But as more time goes on, our family started to understand what we're doing more and more and started to believe in us more and more and more. And I think they believe in us now more than we even believe in ourselves. So yeah.
That's the support, right? That's the support.
Yes.
That's the real support.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. What about you?
I see. Yeah, just to add as well to Faris's point, like we have an indie gaming community here in Bahrain, but nothing massive like Europe or the States, right? It's not as advanced as it is in other parts of the world. So being a part of that and collaborating with people within this gaming community really did help. Especially when we start meeting with them and like casual meetings and those coffee catch ups and whatnot. It did help us kind of motivate us and encourage us to pursue game development as I wouldn't say a career per se, but like let's say as a business or something that we can take it seriously. Yeah, like a lot of us are doing other things full time, right? We're not full time game devs by no means. Some of us are other. Yeah, not yet. Of course.
Not yet. That's the right attitude. I love that.
Yeah, and I'd love to actually believe that as well. Of course. Yeah, like at the time during COVID, some of us were still finishing our education.
I see.
And some of us like literally started working. Like I started working like during COVID. That was like my first job, my first proper job. And ever since then, we wanted to do something creative. For example, Muhammad and I, my brother, right? We studied film and TV as as a degree, and we've always wanted to do something creative. So expressing ourselves creatively through a medium like video games seemed really something interesting for us. And yeah, at first, let's say family members and friends didn't exactly believe in game development as a career, but they did encourage us to pursue something creative, and we're really thankful to them for that.
What about you?
I remember not mentioning it to my family for quite some time. Because at the time I was studying dentistry.
I see.
And I had to study all the time. But it took a bit of some convincing, I would say.
I see.
Yeah.
See. What about you?
Like my brother said, we've always been into like film and TV, and we've studied film and TV production and studies. And I've always like been into screenwriting, like which is a script writing. So I felt basically I was always motivated to write, like a novel or a book, or even a script for a short movie. But it was just for a hobby in the beginning.
I see.
But over time, our family, they saw some progress in terms of business, and they encouraged us to like take it seriously.
I see.
So yeah, I feel like they've been supporting us since the very beginning, but it took them some convincing to do so. So so yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's understandable. I mean, they are scared whether you will make it or not, right? So that's their like work as a parent, right? So
yeah,
okay,
100%.
Do you guys, by the way, believe that it is important for you, each one of you, to have this mentally supported background? How do you feel about this?
I'd say it's not essential, but it surely helps. I believe that the person that you need to believe in your project or in whatever you're doing is yourself.
I see.
And having that support from anyone else, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's just any followers or any supporters, that helps a lot. But you could, like, sometimes you start off with nothing, and then bit by bit you help them gain trust in you and in your like video games or in your projects or in whatever you want to do. As long as you believe in yourself, that everything else is gonna work out fine.
True, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's normal to have ups and downs. Like a lot of us, the great thing is we're all family, right? At the end of the day, so we do motivate each other. Sometimes we do feel down or demotivated. So one of us might feel really motivated and extremely motivated, encouraged to do something. Others would be like creatively burnt out, let's say, right?
I see.
So it does help. It did help having, let's say, having each other, encourage each other, and maybe even spending time outside of like game development, because game development is actually it's a process, right? It's not just you sitting on a computer and like coding, right? It's not that at all, really. It's a creative process, and it does get draining at times, definitely, especially when you're trying to juggle it with other commitments like work and family and whatnot. But yeah, I'd say you need to believe in yourself first and foremost, but having others around you with like a positive aura, about them would definitely help you in the long run.
See.
I'd like to also add to what my brother said. Even when we're having like coffee or tea outside, we still come up with ideas and concepts for even future projects, not just Catatonic. So basically, the creative process never stops.
True.
It
That's
just
the
keeps
passion,
going and
right?
going.
That's the passion
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
video
yeah.
games.
Yes.
Nice. What about you?
I do agree with the guys. As far as said, as long as you believe in yourself is what really matters, really.
Okay. So throughout the process of working together, by the way, what was that special thing that always kept you guys together? Because I believe that nowadays, especially, people, even if they are like non-family members and work together, if they are family members working together, it's very it's very hard to find those people who can really work together with the synergy. What helped you guys over the years stay together and in work, also in the creative field, work together and share this love for your project as well, and be safe in this family place as well?
So all four
Because
of
it's
us.
rare. Sorry for interrupting you. Because it's
Yeah,
rare
yeah,
in
of
my
course.
opinion, right? So
I mean, all four of us love playing video games together
I see.
in general. So we hang out with each other a lot since we were little kids. I wouldn't even call like for us we were like brothers, right?
True.
So of course there's gonna be ups and there's gonna be downs, but
Sure.
also at the same time, it's good that we're also a family because we know each other inside and out.
I see.
We know the bad in everyone, and we know the good in everyone. We know how good someone could be, how bad someone could be. We know each other's issues pretty well,
I see.
and we also understand one another pretty well. We do have a lot of issues, of course we do. Like every single business, but we always try to like like there's a difference between business and family and like sometimes like for we could say like me and Ahmed could get into an argument that is completely like personal, but we would never let that you know uh, like anything that happens personally, we don't let it like affect us in the business realm, and vice versa as well. Any business issue, we wouldn't let that affect our personal lives with one another. But yeah, so and just and also on top of that, Ahmed and Hamad, the brothers, we used to work on creating. We used to make YouTube videos together, so we're also very like we know how to work through that creative process with one another. And Muhammad Zikri also like sometimes would used to help us out and give us like ideas and things like that. He's our biggest fan, and from the YouTube side of it, he watches every single video, gives us like his side, what could be done better. And that's like a completely different creative aspect to it. And yeah, so it's just that we're used to each other's synergies. We know how we deal with the bad things, and we know how to deal with the good things as well.
I see. What about you?
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, I can tell you that. So
it does,
I mean,
and it's rare, like I said, right? So
exactly. A lot of people would say, avoid family when it comes to business. Don't start a business with family. And I do get their point, right? But in our case, I guess we're lucky enough to understand each other a bit more than just being, family. We're more like friends, really, friends, family, and whatever you want to call it and dub it, right? And it's good for it's good to actually separate family from the creative side, the business side. But yeah, we're lucky, and we understand that we're lucky for for having this kind of synergy together. And of course, I would encourage anybody to whether you'd like to start your studio on your own or do something on your own. I think it would still be a good idea to consult other people and maybe hear their feedback as well. And of course, it is easier when you're doing it in a group as opposed to being a solo developer, solo developer could take 10 years to develop something that 4 people could develop in half of that, right? And in like 5 years or even less. And of course, when you introduce a cost element in that, expenses, you could always split those expenses by 4 in our case, right? It's not like one person handling all the cost when it comes to development. Like for example, in our case, none of us are actual artists, right? So we do have other team members who work with us, let's say on a part-time basis, who we consider also as friends. They would, let's say, do the artwork for us. They would support us in enhancing our code. Or realistically, I can't code the entire game on my own, right? I might have worked on the prototype and the foundation, but of course I would need additional help to develop Catatonic game, right? And we do have other team members as well who work with us within our team. And of course, we grew that team over time. It's not something that we didn't start off with 6-7 people. It was just us 4, and we had to make do, right, with what we knew.
Thank you for that, by the way. What about you?
I mean, as you know, Bahrain is a tiny country, and I actually live 5 minutes away from Ahmed and Muhammad. I would say we do hang out almost every day and talk to each other almost every day. But hey, there's ups and downs, in everything in life, and when you think about it, even when it comes to family as well, there's always highs and lows.
I see. Okay. Thank you for that. What about
To be honest, in my opinion, the beautiful thing about family is the fact, especially us, since we've known each other for a long time, basically our lifetime, is that we are very understanding of each other. And like my brother mentioned, Ahmed, he said he would separate, we would separate business and personal stuff. So, and even if we're facing any personal stuff that might potentially interfere with the business side of things, we resolve this very quickly. Maybe over a cup of coffee or while hanging out or whatever we do usually. So yeah, any conflict we might be facing, it's very resolvable. We resolve it very quickly. We don't hold long-term grudges or whatever. So yeah.
I see. Do you think, by the way, this mindset that all of you talked about is something that you always had in yourself, about always talk about the problems and realize the solution for it and not let it go into creative process, or is it something that's you developed out through the years, this mindset of yours?
I'd say it develops over time. Okay, but what does my brother say? Let me see what he says.
I'll pass it over to Forrest first, and then maybe I can shed a bit more light.
Yeah, so I would say everything that came is I'd say it's basically just based on experience and work and how we work with each other. So again, yes, we've worked and we've played games with each other and we hang out with each other all the time, but we also still have a lot to learn about one another. It's end of the day, it's business is completely different when you're doing business or when you're doing, especially when you're trying to get to a certain point. It does get difficult at times, but we also I feel like it's way easier than where it was when we first started, because when we first started the problems were more frequent. We panicked over small things, and we had higher expectations, whereas now it's okay, if Ahmed is stressing out over something, I know how to calm him down. If Muhammad is stressing out about something, Ahmed could calm him down, and so on and so forth. So I feel like now we know each other more when it comes to business as well, instead of just the personal aspect.
I see.
I mean, it took some time, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we founded Fred the Dead in 2020, I believe October 2020. So it's been, I would say 4 years, right? So
we started, I think, during the summer of it, and the technical, technically it was October 2020, but we started working on it during the summer of 2020.
Exactly. So we had some time to kind of get to know each other a bit more. Exactly, when it comes to business as well, because business forest would be different than fun forest, for example, right? And we had to learn that over time. Really, it's easier said than done, to be honest with you. Despite being family, there are hurdles here and there, and I mean, but when it comes to the creative process, really, I think all of us understand that there is a time for that as well.
I see.
Right? We don't really have like a schedule or a calendar, or we're not very strict when it comes to time management in terms of, let's have a meeting at this time at this hour, because at the end of the day, with any creative product, you can't always stick to tight and strict deadlines.
That's right. True.
And we learned that over time. Like initially, I wanted everything to be like organized and strict timelines and everything. But then, being a producer, right, on Catatonic game. But then I realized, no, if you want to be really strict about timelines, it might hinder the creative process as well, because we might come up with an idea, right? Let's say today, but then that idea might get even better tomorrow or the day after, right? So we're open to, let's say, making changes to any creative element that we incorporate to Catatonic game. But see, I would say the biggest, let's say, bottleneck is, and we've realized this over time, is 2D artwork, especially when it comes to hand-drawn animations. Because once you draw something, you're stuck with it, right? It's not like 3D animation where you could, change the animations. You could, especially with 3D modules that you rig, with the skeleton, it's easier to make adjustments here and there when it's a 3D product, and that's what I've learned over time. With 2D hand-drawn animation, it is very tough, because once you come up with an idea, you're stuck with it, whether you like it or not. We've gone back. So Zikri and I have gone back and forth with, let's say, designing the first level of Catatonic game, and like we weren't convinced about the puzzles that we had there. And
oh my god, Ahmed, remember it was like 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'll pass it over to Zikri actually to tell you more about that experience.
Go ahead, Ahmed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always me coming in between both of them just to make sure they come up with something, because sometimes they're both perfectionists, where sometimes it does hinder a lot of things, or I have to be like, guys, like, you're gonna overthink this way too hard.
It will
like
be
you're
10
gonna
years
overthink
even
this
working together, right?
just for this one puzzle. Come on, let's get it done. That's it. Let's go for the next one. Let's go for the next one. That's it. So sometimes it needs, like we need like kind of push from one another. It's like, okay, like, yeah, we were taking way too long on this certain thing, and let's just try to get something else, and then we can go back to this later. And I'm sure, and then that's something that we also had to learn in the process, because that's one of the things that made us, like, it took some time for us to get used to, and it would like delay a lot of the game because of these reasons. We're trying to perfect everything, and sometimes when you overthink too much, it ends up not being as good as you think it was, and you're like, yeah, you know what, maybe we should have oversimplified it.
True.
Yeah, I would say especially when, the first level of the game, there was a lot of back and forth with that specific level, staying up until 6 a.m. in the morning, not even 3 a.m.
Okay.
It was, it got ridiculous at some point.
Passion, right? That's passion.
It's definitely passion, right? It's definitely passionate. But Zikri and I are perfectionists, and sometimes you can't be a perfectionist when it comes to, let's say, the designing process, the level design process. Especially when you have, I guess, timelines, right, that you'd like to meet. But yeah, and we can maybe talk about this later as well. We did have a playable demo, like different iterations of a playable demo that we showcased at different Comic Cons in the region. So we could maybe touch on that at a later stage. But that also helped getting a player's perspective.
If we have time, or if you could, we could also show the first demo to Remulto if he'd like to see it. The first ever demo that we
I'm down to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be like, it would be nice to show like where it was and where it is now.
True.
But by the way, the demo took us around, I think,
4 to 5 days.
Okay.
4 to 5 days.
The initial demo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So having to develop that in 4 to 5 days was a task, definitely. But yeah, I mean, the game changed since then, and this was our first ever, let's say, demo post prototype.
I see.
And yeah, it changed completely, really, especially because we had to showcase it at a Comic Con. It was our first platform to showcase anything that's, let's say, gaming related that we've worked on. I want to see if I actually have that demo. So
and
let me know. I can stream it.
That demo is like, we were told, I think, a week maybe or 10 days before that we were gonna be in Comic-Con, and we're like, we can't and this is when I would say we weren't taking it as, like maybe we're serious about it, just not like as serious as we are now about the entire thing. And so we're like, yeah, guys, we have to do something. Like, we have a few assets. Let's just work around. So do at least something just to send an idea of what Catatonic game might look like in the future. And Ahmed and Muhammad had to work on the demo for like God knows how long. Like it was like for like 3 to 5 days where they've been working nonstop on it. And I was doing the entire marketing thing, so I'd get everything else, and I'd have to set up the booths and get everything. And it was very, very tiring, but it was, we were very happy because I think a lot of people saw that we had a lot of soul and energy for that game, like for our game itself. And even with that small demo, we were able to get a lot of people to get in and play the game and try the game, and they liked it, and some enjoy. And that was like, like it was nothing at the time, and but it still helped us a lot to see that there is some support from people. And I think we got maybe around 200 people that played that demo during that day, which was insane, because even our booth wasn't really a booth. It was just like a small little table. We were with other developers as well, so yeah, I think Ahmed has it on, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
nice. So this is the very, very initial demo, and I have to mute this, unfortunately, because at the time we didn't have original music that we could use for the game. So just for you to avoid any copyright strikes or whatnot,
Thank you.
I muted the demo.
Thank you.
Because I know how Twitch is strict with
with
that. Can you see the gameplay?
Yeah,
or?
I do. I switched to gameplay.
Yeah,
only.
so
Yeah.
the game changed completely. Like even the jumping animation, as you can see here, this is something that we didn't showcase publicly at all.
Thank
right?
you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
this is an exclusive to you, Remulto.
Thank you. Thank
you.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever shown this to anyone yet. Not even in our pages.
As you can see, it's very rough around the edges, but
the art style really changed. Like it's really different.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah,
it's way different. Everything was a placeholder. These were assets that we purchased or licensed, as you can see.
But the core vision was there already. I can see that. So
yeah, exactly. The core vision.
Yeah,
definitely. The core vision was definitely there, and there are elements here and there that we've incorporated into the actual game. Right, but as you can see, we've learned a lot from this, right? Learned a lot from this initial demo. But yeah, honestly, like Forrest said, this is something that we've never showcased online. It's something that that 200 players played at Bahrain Comic Con in 2020. Was it 2022 for us? I think
2022. Yeah.
2022. Yeah. See, as you can see,
wow.
The vision was there, right? The vision was there, but it's definitely something. See, definitely something that carried over. For example, here, like Forrest Hanks, right? That's a character that we've created. Let's say we have a visual of this character just now, but we wanted this character to become something since back then, right?
I see.
And a voice as well. We have a visual and a voice as well. The Nostalgia Critic, if you have any idea of who he is, he's the guy that voices Forrest Hanks.
Yeah, exactly. So Doug Walker, a Nostalgia Critic, video game movie reviewer, reviews movies.
I see.
Yeah. So yeah, this is I'm going to leave it at that. At least for this specific gameplay segment, and then I'll show you what we have. I guess one of the previous builds that we've showcased as well at Comic-Con and how the game developed. Right. So this is I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay. Should I switch to camera? Oh yeah, I should. Okay. Back to camera.
Yes, I can actually. So if you prefer, I can show you the demo right now, or the latest demo that we have.
If you want,
now.
I'm down to that. Yeah.
Thank you. Look, it's something that's still we have. So it's not the project that we're working on right now. It's one of the demos that we showcased at one of the Comic Cons.
I see.
And I'll show you that as well.
Okay.
It's one of the latest demos, right?
Let me know if I can click on it.
Yeah.
It's me. No. But like I
It will
said, the
help you.
vision was there. The vision was there. I can totally see
Yeah,
it. Like
yeah.
it was there already. The dream, right? The dream.
Yes, yes. There is also like there's so many things that also that we worked on that are, you know, some of them are funny, some of them, you know, that aren't even catatonic, because we were working on a different game as well. This is we had a different game in mind. It was more of
I
a
see.
comedic game.
I see.
We didn't really scrap it. We just said let's leave that game because it was in 2D. We were like, yeah, we want to make it in 3D. It's and we were like, let's leave that game for a different time when, you know, when we have more of a funding, and we decided to work on that.
Next project, right? Who
Yes,
knows?
next project.
Okay.
I could imagine, by the way, this game being in 3D too. It would make sense in my opinion,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or a whole universe built around this
yeah.
game. Yeah, nice.
So I don't know if you see my screen or not.
It's loading. It's loading. Yeah.
And let me know if it's muted or if you can still.
It's not muted. It's not muted. I can
Okay.
hear it
Can you
by
see it?
your camera voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
mute myself. And
Okay.
Probably you can hear the game.
Ahmed, I can't see the.
No, it's
stream.
not opened up. Yeah, it's now.
Okay. Yeah.
Now it's there.
Loading.
Yeah, it's loading for me. It is loading. Oh,
Yeah.
it's there. Nice.
Can you hear the audio?
No, I can't.
No audio.
Should I add the audio to it? Because I'm
Yeah.
muted.
Whenever I share my screen, for some reason the game switches off. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
very odd. Well, yeah. Give me a second.
Okay.
Let me see.
I can hear it by your camera, by the way. Your camera.
Yeah, probably. But whenever I don't know whether this is a bug with Unity or something, but whenever I share my screen on Twitch, let me know if the screen works, right?
It's loading. It's loading. Oh, it's there. It's there. Yeah, and I can hear it now twice. I think.
Yeah, mute me if you don't mind. Mute me.
Okay. I muted the game. Or the screen. Yeah, the screen.
Sure. So you can see the game changed drastically, as you can see, from the beginning segment alone. So this is not the latest build. This is one of the builds that we showcased at the latest Comic Cons.
Okay. Nice.
So see, the game changed.
It changed, yeah.
Yeah. The jump, as you can see, changed. It's still a work in progress, but you see, it changed. It's more inspired by classic platformers now.
I see.
And then we have a dialogue box now. Pushing and pulling.
Nice.
So this is an animation that we've recently also reworked. So what you see here is actually something that's outdated. We've recently updated these animations, but we haven't implemented them yet. Yeah. So we're probably giving away the puzzle here, but the idea is you have to...
Spoiler time.
Spoiler time, yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you collect items, and you can see, it's an item that you collect. The UI is still a work in progress. Yeah. So sorry.
This is a placeholder UI. Just for now.
It's placeholder UI for now.
I see.
Okay. We've also licensed sound effects from Hanna-Barbera. So the sound effects that we're using right now are all licensed. Sound effects that we've used, that were used for like on Scooby-Doo and other cartoons.
Nice.
Yeah, but I don't know. You couldn't hear it here, but yeah, that's the idea.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay. Again, this is a work in progress build. Something. Let's see.
By the way, watching all these footages, what was the influence behind the vision to have puzzle elements and platformers together? Like, these two genres together, or these two gameplay segments together in your game? What was the influence behind that decision?
I think Forrest, would you like to maybe talk about that?
For the so one of the influence for the art style, I would say it's mostly like the cartoons, like the older cartoons.
Okay.
It would be like mostly a bit of, you know, Mickey Mouse.
Thank
I
you, by
think
the
that
way.
was one of the games. For yeah, it was mostly the Mickey Mouse Wild Adventure.
I see.
That was one of the games that we really, really loved. And Mohammed still needs to beat that game so that he can, you know, live out his bucket, tick it off of his bucket list.
Yeah, that game is
It was.
my kryptonite. I know I managed to beat Elden Ring, Dark Souls, but to this day, I can't
Nice.
beat that game.
Nice.
So yeah, so that was, I'd say that, and obviously Cuphead made sure that, you know, to
Yeah.
bring back that art style and
True,
make
true,
it a
true,
thing
true.
again. And we can't ever say that we made Catatonic without being inspired by Cuphead, because, you know, everyone already says it. So
But it's a rare art
so
style, in my opinion.
yeah, it
It's
is. It
very
is. It's
rare.
also a very hard art style
True,
to get right,
true,
because
true, very true.
Cuphead has done it perfectly. Cuphead has done it amazingly, and you know, even being slightly compared to Cuphead is, I would say, is a very, very like it. I take it as a big, big compliment
True,
for
very
us.
true, very
But
true.
other than that, it's mostly like 30s cartoons, especially Mickey Mouse, and one of the cartoons I would say, like, if you want to understand the story of Catatonic and what it's about, one of the cartoons that I think everyone should watch is the Mickey Mouse Mad Doctor cartoon.
I see.
That cartoon really, really shows you how Catatonic game is kind of going to be like when it comes to storytelling. But yeah, I would say these specific cartoons, I'd say these are the ones when it comes to art style. But when it comes to gameplay, it's a mixture of a lot. It's a mixture of a bit of Undertale, and for the bosses, I would say it's a mixture of Cuphead and, believe it or not, LA Noir.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, that,
okay.
that.
Love that.
And for story structure, at least for me, okay, I don't know about the guys, okay, because I write the story with Muhammad, okay, so one of the story structures that helped us write the story and how you could go from one chapter to the next is Bully, by
Nice,
Rockstar.
nice,
That's
nice,
that's
nice.
my
Finally, someone who
personal favorite
remembers
game.
that game. Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. Finally, not just
It's
GT and Red Dead Redemption, but Bully.
no, that's
Finally,
my personal
finally,
favorite game of all time.
finally.
For
Let's
me,
go.
it's Bully.
Let's go. Finally,
For me, that's
someone.
that's a game that I really want to see
Finally.
again. Bully
Love
2.
it, love
I'm
it, love
waiting
it.
for it.
True, true, true,
But yeah, I
true.
used a lot of that. Not necessarily anything when it comes to gameplay, but mostly of how the structure of the
True,
story
true,
goes, of how
true.
like each chapter gives you
It
something
was very
different.
unique, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I really loved how they made that story and how
True.
everything leads to the other
True,
thing,
true,
yet
true,
there
true.
is one person that kind of controls everything bad
True,
that
true,
happens.
true, true, true.
Um, I don't want to give away too much about the story, but I think these things that kind of help out a lot in terms of like kind of understanding the idea of how Catatonic game is going to be
I
like,
see.
and it's a very story heavy game.
I see.
You know, so and unlike Cuphead, yeah, you know, it's more of a, you know, like solving puzzles instead of the platforming, and it's not a fast paced game. It's
I see.
more slow paced, more think with your brain than, you know, with your skills on the controller. It's more of like, hey, what am I gonna do here and what am I gonna do there, and how am I gonna, you know, how am I gonna finish this puzzle, how am I gonna get to the other puzzle, and things like that.
I see. I see. Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for the
No
gameplay
problem.
clips as well. I appreciate it.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Yeah, I did want to share like a latest build when I'm having issues with building the game on Unity right now.
Okay.
So perhaps at a later stage we can provide you with footage
Thank
from
you.
the
Thank you
latest
for
build
that.
which you can utilize.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you for
but at
that.
least you had a look at the
Yeah, and I
older
really appreciate the exclusive look for
that
that.
we
Thank you.
had.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, so also just to add to Fars's point as well, of course, Cuphead being a big inspiration for
I
us,
see.
as you can see here from the art style. One thing that I realized in Cuphead, and this is nothing against the game, right? It's just personal preference, right? I wanted to know more about the characters, their stories, their lives. There's so many characters in Cuphead but the way it's kind of made is for you to defeat bosses. It's a boss rush at the end of the day, right? We wanted to flesh out characters and stories and levels and worlds and Catatonic game where you would actually meet and speak with those let's say rubber hose cartoon characters, right? Each one would have their own, let's say, side story, their own side quest, which you would understand their perspective, their stories, and even the bosses themselves. Like you'll understand what led them to that. And I mentioned this in one of the videos that we did for Kickstarter, is that we also want to flesh out bosses in which you'd understand what led them to that, let's say, breaking point, right? What led them
why
turn
they went evil.
Yeah, exactly. And this is also an inspiration from games like Undertale, like Forrest said. During the boss battles, this is something that we wanted to showcase, but we are still working on, is the boss battles. So during the boss battles, you'd actually have opportunities where you would you would negotiate or you would interrogate bosses.
Just like
so that's
Eleanor, right? Eleanor.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the LA Noir aspect of it. Yeah,
Nice.
And we wanted to. That's why it's like let's say it's a cocktail of different games all blended in one, right?
All the knowledge that you got from all those games playing together and alone, right? So you understand how game works, right? Nice.
Even point-and-click games like Monkey Island, for example.
Nice.
And even like a game that I recently was like reading about and watching videos about was it Phantasmagoria or something? Yeah, it's like one of those point-and-click games, and I can see where that inspiration, like we were accidentally inspired by games like that.
True.
Phantasmagoria, right? Where it's like a point-and-click horror, horror thriller kind of mystery, right? It's kind of, we're incorporating the same elements here, but it's with a twist, right? There is still a puzzle platformer foundation to Catatonic as well.
I see. Yeah. What about you? Any of you would like to add something?
I'd like to add. Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah, to add to like my brother's point about the characters, like understanding the bosses. There are some options like to let's say outsmart the bosses.
I see.
So it's not really just dialogue based. There are some action elements.
I see.
But yeah, we took a pacifist approach to which is a rarity in this day and age. It's mostly like run and gun and violence.
True. That's very true.
Yeah, we don't want to go for that.
You want MGS Metal Gear Solid aspect, right? That you can play through the game not killing anyone. Yeah, nice. Love that. Love that.
So we wanted to go for that approach, and it's also related to like what we're trying to do. We're trying to touch on the animal welfare and a lot of taking care of pets and their well-being. So it's kind of there's like a hidden message, in the game.
Nice. Love that. Thank you. By the way, for your honesty as well. Everyone's honesty. Thank you. What about you?
And Mohammed, Zikri, you can explain a bit of the boss battles as well, like how they're gonna work and what we have in mind as well, and how we're implementing the boss battles.
Okay, so first of all, each level has a bunch of clues that you'll have to collect, okay? Once you collect the clues, you can head to the boss battle. You'll have the options whether to fight the boss or just collect more clues.
I see.
Okay. And once you enter the boss battle, you'll have, I think, around a couple of rounds with the boss. It gets harder each time you beat let's say you beat the first round. The second round becomes a bit harder, and the third round becomes harder and harder.
I see.
In between the rounds, you'll be able to once you survive, let's see, the first round, you'll have to survive obstacles and attacks. Okay. Once you survive these attacks, you'll be in a what is it for us? What do you call it?
Like a trigger to trigger the cutscene. Is that what you're saying?
No. After that, you'll be in like an interrogation. Yeah, an interrogation scene will be using your clues in order to defeat a boss.
I see.
That's how. Yeah.
And I guess the more clues you have, the more easier it gets for you as a player.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And because we focus a lot on animal welfare, and also like one of the things that we really care about is also mental health. um Indirectly we do kind of, try to help kind of spread that message across.
I see.
I feel like a lot of games just, there's this villain and you don't get to know a lot about.
Sure.
I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't played The Last of Us Part 2, but one of the things that I liked, one of the things that they did in that game, and but I'm not gonna talk too much about it. But what I'm gonna say is that not every bad or villain is genuinely a bad villain. Some of them have
True.
their reasons, and
True.
once you go and try to understand why they're doing what they're doing instead of just beating them up,
True.
it gives you a bit more sympathy towards that specific
True.
character, and
True.
you can kind of understand why they did what they did,
True.
and see, maybe, hey, maybe you could help that person out instead of, just uh beating them up or killing them, or
That's very true,
so
and I respect that mindset of yours, and I can relate to that as well. And I feel like
yeah,
the real problem nowadays with our society is that human beings on an everyday level, we are not questioning. Most of us, we are not questioning others' decision, right? We are just
yeah,
blaming and saying that, hey, he's a good guy, hey, he's a bad guy, but it's not
yeah,
at the end
yeah,
of the day. And we should
mm,
really start to, like, how to say this, that how to educate ourselves and
yeah,
our society in order to grow as a human. I'm not saying that
exactly,
we like should like cherish those people who are bad, but we should really understand what's the causing effect, right? Because we are not saving
100%,
humanity if we are not realizing what could cause that person go mad at others, right? Or so
1000%, and
that's what people do not understand, is that putting somebody into prison is not helping, right? So you have
yeah,
to like realize what's the causing effect again behind those
exactly,
decisions that led that person. It might be like a very good person at the end of the day, right? And he was a
yeah,
very good person in
100%.
for his most of life. Something just happened, maybe an accident, maybe like a trauma, and he started being like that. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's one of the things that we want people to understand, right? The world isn't black and white.
true,
There is
true,
color
true,
in
true,
everything.
true, true,
There is a, you know, everyone has their reasons, whether
true.
they did, like, some people did bad things, and, instead
Every one of
of just,
us like had bad things in our life, right? So
yeah,
it's not that we
100%.
are like 100% good people. No,
Yeah,
nobody
yeah,
is,
yeah.
like I always say that,
No
but
one's,
nobody is.
no one's,
True,
no,
true,
no,
true,
no,
true,
no.
true,
We've all done a lot of good things, but we've also done a lot of bad
true,
things. But,
true,
some people have the, unfortunate, luck for, just not, for their bad things not to be as public as
true,
a lot of other people. And some people are just, there might be some people that are just bad, but
true, true.
yeah,
I mean, it's rare in my opinion. I
it
always
is.
say
It is
this,
very
that
rare.
there is always good in every one of us. It's just you have to dig very deep
Yes,
in order to find that good in
one
some
thousand
of.
percent,
Yeah, yeah. I
one
respect that, by
thousand.
the way. Thank you for saying that. I
Thank
respect
you.
that. Yeah. I believe, by the way, that all of us creators who create our own craft, we always intend to put our inner self into the craft we make. Is this statement of mine true for your work as a video game creator and developer? And if the answer is yes, what examples could you name, or could you tell us, like a personal examples, when you are working or worked on this exact game of yours?
So for Catatonic game, I'd say every one of us has kind of their touch of their
Okay.
personal, experiences. But one of the two things that we mentioned, right? The mental health and animal welfare. We
Okay.
all here, all of us love pets, and we love dogs, and we love cats, and we love animals in general. And also seeing that, that there's a stigma of, like, animals not being treated well,
Sure.
and, being used for experiments and things
Sure.
like that. Like in real life, like, yeah, it's all, this is all fiction, but it also happens in reality.
Sure.
Other than that, I would say there's a lot of our humor put into the game, like a bit of dark humor, a bit of, we really love dark humor, and
I
you're
see.
gonna
I
see
see. I
that in the
see.
game as well. So a lot of dark humor. We love to show that, like, even though our game isn't necessarily like a, like an 18 plus game,
I see.
but there are still some, dark moments that, that kind of like hit you in the heart. You're like, wow, like that actually just happened. Like that's kind of, like, excuse my language, like effed up, you know. Like we have some of those, like, even when we were thinking of them, we're like, I was like, Ahmed, look, this is the story. Like, are you sure we can get away? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, we have a lot of those things where like we put in our everything into this game. So everything that we love, a bit of a bit of inside joke here, a bit of inside joke there. That that's kind of there. Things that are there just for us, but we're sure that some might resonate with the people as well.
Nice. Love that. What about you?
The interesting thing about Catatonic game is that given our, let's say, Arab background, we've decided to, let's say, have two versions of the game to start with. Obviously, a global international version, which is an English version, right? So the game is English to begin with, but in our localized Arabic version, there will be certain, let's say, inside jokes, certain cultural jokes that, let's say, people of our background would understand, more so than, let's say, a global audience. But that does make sense. I mean, in every localized version, you'd have some humor, right? So elements of humor that are specific to that specific culture or that, let's say, heritage.
And even if you would happen to translate it, like it wouldn't be the same, right? Because
it
people
wouldn't be the same.
cannot connect to it, like not understanding that past of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I want to also mention one thing. So again, let's say a shout out to Undertale. Like their localized Japanese version, right? Let's say it had humor that's localized to the Japanese audience, and we're trying to achieve something similar to that, where each, let's say, version of Catatonic game specific to that region would have localized jokes or like that are within that context, right, for that specific region. We want to make it cater to the audience. Yeah,
that's perfectionist in you guys, right? Again,
yeah.
I love that.
Honestly, it was a lot of help. We like this came on very recently. We've had a talk with someone that's helped us a lot with Catatonic game, and he gave us these ideas. And I'd also say shout out to him. His name is Abdulaziz. He's a very, very great person. He helped. He's one of the best, I'd say, when it comes to these things. And he gave us these ideas. They're like, yeah, you should do this and you should do that. And some of the things we might have thought of before, but a lot of the things are like, oh, this is new. We haven't thought of this before. We haven't seen this before. Yeah, maybe this is the right way to go through things. And he knows based on experience. And sometimes it's always good to hear from people who have been there and done that and learn from them.
Very true. I respect that, by the way, that decision of yours that you want to like localize this inside jokes and have those inside jokes for the other countries as well. Nice, very nice. Okay, what about you?
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I think just what's that, guys?
Okay,
Muhammad?
What about you?
Yeah, like my brother and my cousin mentioned, for the Arabic version, we want to go for more, not just our region, like the Gulf region, but we want to focus on like the Arab world in general.
I see.
So every character would have their own like dialect in a way.
I see.
Like some hints of their dialect, and we might go for more of a a traditional Arabic speaking dialect, which is understood by the majority of the Arabic world.
I see.
To make it more like accessible for the Arabs,
more appealing and accessible.
And obviously this is not just for the Arabic version. This is also for because we're planning on making more than just two languages. It's the English, Arabic, Spanish, and French, I think, Ahmed, and also Mandarin as well. So Mandarin and Japanese, which is also something that we also want to work on. Try to get that audience as well.
I see.
I'd say so. Based on, let's say, the wish list that we got, the interest from our audience, we realized that the game appeals to an international segment, not a specific region, really. And that's why we've realized this after having conversations, of course, with the likes of Abdulaziz and others. We've realized that we shouldn't really alienate any audience, right? We want them to also enjoying the game, and that's why I wanted it to be personalized for that specific audience.
That's very true.
It does help that we have different team members with us from different backgrounds. For example, our artist is from Colombia. She's she speaks Spanish. Her native language is Spanish. So, even consulting her on these matters would definitely, help us in the long run, especially when we were trying to appeal to that South American audience as well, right?
True.
Yeah, so hence why we wanted to do this. We don't want to alienate people, and we want to cater the game to them.
yeah, at the end of the day, I think that there are a lot of people, especially like just to name some European countries like mine and Germany and other European countries, which might not be like comfortable with the English language, because I feel like English language is something that like a lot of people are not into learning nowadays, especially in my country in Hungary. I know that a lot of people are just skipping cutscenes in video games, in story-oriented video games, because they're like, even if they are lazy, or even if like the school studies for English language is not that good, that's how they end up being these people who are not enjoying story-oriented games, because of they cannot consume it on their like
Exactly.
personal
And
language. And that's why I appreciate these types of things that
and we
you
totally
guys also
understand,
do.
given our backgrounds, we're not native English speakers by no means. We had to pick up the language and learn it over time. It took us years to develop, this English language, right?
You
And
speak
we
English very
understand.
good, all of you, by the way. I respect that, by the way.
Thank you.
You're great
Appreciate
in
it.
English, like, let's say
Thank
it.
you.
So much.
Yeah, we've learned it from watching a lot of cartoons.
Nice.
cartoons,
Video
that's
games
like
and cartoons
Yeah.
help, see?
Video games and
Yeah.
cartoons, they do help. They do help a
Very
lot.
true, very true, very true.
That's why we got the American accents.
Nice. I respect
you
that.
can
I
sense
can
the
relate to
influence.
that as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, we understand. Some people would struggle with the English language, and yes, I mean the international version is English. That's the predominantly spoken language. But again, we want to cater to different audiences and not just English-speaking individuals, right?
Nice. Thank you for that. I respect that. Again. So throughout the process, by the way, of making this exact game of yours, what was your favorite part of the process of making the game together, and also like your personal parts of the game? Again, of course, question goes to each one of you.
Yeah, so I'd say so. I'll start off with the personal aspect of it. Personally, it's just been a dream of mine to have, just to have my own game and, open up PlayStation or a Nintendo store and see, oh, hey, look, that's my game. Like
Very true.
just having that is more than enough. That is a dream on its own. And also, just to do something you love for a living, that is it's something that not anyone could do, and being able to do that would be amazing. But when it comes to like us together, like I'd say that a lot of the creative processes when we work together, it's really fun when we work together, especially when we work on the creative things. It's very, very fun. That's my favorite part, working on the creative aspect of it, shooting off ideas from one person to another, and having these like little arguments, like, no, this is better, and then we'd go and we'd ask Ahmed's younger brother or Zikri's younger brothers, be like, hey, which one's better? No, this is better. No, okay, and then like we'd have these type of arguments. But it's very fun, like every time we do it, it's like a break from reality, because in real life you just have to do these boring jobs, just work on a desk and just do nothing, and feel like there's no sense of accomplishment. Whereas this, you feel like there's a sense of accomplishment, and you're not doing it on your own. You're doing it with people, that are your cousins, your best friends, and also brothers. So that's very fun for me, at least. Mahmed, let us know as well your part.
I mean, the most fun part is like hearing everybody's sense of humor, because look, we're different individuals, right? But we laugh at each other's jokes. Really, I can tell you that, right? We have different senses of humor, but hearing, let's say, Faris's jokes, even though they could be dark at times, they're still hilarious, and that's
My
kind of
jokes could get me canceled if we were.
Hopefully, we won't be cancelled as players
No,
streaming
no,
your
no,
game, right?
I have
make
good
sure-
PR training.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny, for us to, it's banter at the end of the day, right? That's what people call it. It's banter, right? So I would say that's the most fun part. And also, actually, the fact that I learned more about my cousins and my family from the designing and development process, because a lot of us play different games. Like, I'm a fan of fighting games first and foremost. Like, my favorite game I would say ever is probably Street Fighter. That's like the game that I play the most, right? But hearing, let's say, Faris, who enjoys Bully and games that are narrative based like that, hearing his insight, really sheds more light on things that design elements that I didn't even think of. And of course, Zikri being a fan of, let's say, games like Batman, Arkham, Arkham City and whatnot. And Muhammad's input when it comes to puzzle platformers and games from the 1985, 1986, those classic Nintendo games, right? I would say, like, when it comes to any vintage games, my brother Muhammad would be the expert when it comes to 80s vintage games, and hearing his getting his perspective on these things does help with the creative process as well. So yeah, we learned more about each other while working on Catatonic game and Fred the Dead.
See. Thank you for that. What about you?
Yeah, I would say like the creative aspects and the creating our own world and creating all these crazy, wacky, cartoony characters. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hamad?
As for me, I've always been like very into, you could say, developing, games. Either it's based on an existing IP, like fan games, for example.
I see.
I use a fighting game engine called Mugen
Okay.
to create my own fan game of a certain IP. So yeah, I've always been very into these types of things. And like my brother mentioned as well, I'm very into 1980s games such as Castlevania, Adventure Island, Super Mario Brothers, and even like Contra.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
yeah, I like to use these like elements of of the games I've mentioned for my own like game, which is, which I feel like it adds more layer to our game. It makes it different from others.
True. Like that makes you we're talking about before. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. You have spoken, by the way, about your favorite parts, but what about the hardest part or parts about the process of making games together? And also, again, talking about your personal work in the video game industry.
I would say the hardest part is managing everything, managing
Okay.
our time.
Okay.
That is pretty hard, especially because all of us, we all have like our jobs. So, for example, Ahmed works as a business developer. Muhammad works in HR, and Muhammad also works in marketing HR, and I work as a professor at university. So
Oh, okay.
and sometimes it just gets too much with like real life and this and just trying to manage everything, and like you can't I feel like just the fact that not being able to work on this like 100% full time sometimes kind of hurts, but this is the only way that we can kind of get through life so that we
True.
can make that our full
Sorry.
time. That I would say that is the hardest part when it comes to me, at least personal aspect. But in general, I would say like just just trying to get budget for the game, right? Because it does cost making something hand drawn and fully animated, and that is a very difficult thing for us to just because you're bootstrapping everything from scratch, and everything that you've put into this game is your own money. And thankfully, we've been able to have a successful Kickstarter campaign, so that will help us finish the first episode. But yeah, I would say that in general would be my hardest aspect of it.
Nice. Thank you.
I think we all have aspirations to be full-time game developers, and of course, it's something that keeps us going. Juggling commitments again is something that's it becomes a bottleneck, really, especially when, let's say, you work 9 to 5, you finish your job, you get home, you just want to rest, right? You just want to relax,
You're
and
tired,
even like, play video games for the sake of playing video games, right? Because you're tired, you enjoy your games. But the funny thing is, whenever we play video games, I think we get like ideas, even though despite wanting to just enjoy our time and play video games for the sake of playing video games, we still get ideas. The creative process is still ongoing, which is not a bad thing by no means. But I would say, yeah, the biggest struggle is juggling a 9 to 5 and doing something creative on the side. This could also lead to, let's say, some arguments, right? For example, like I personally sometimes get stubborn when it comes to the design process. For me, when something makes sense, it might make sense to me, but not necessarily to others. So it does help getting everybody's else perspective. We're
I
not
can
yes
vouch for
men,
that one.
right? We're not yes people, right? There's a lot of back and forth between us.
True,
We rarely
And it
agree on
also
something.
helps, in my opinion, right? So
It does help,
True,
definitely.
Yeah.
It greatly helps. Yeah. And this is the great thing about this, right? You're not surrounded by yes people.
true.
We There's back and forth because we're both equally passionate about
True,
this. We're equally responsible, equally liable, equally whatever you want to call it when it comes to Catatonic and Fred Dead as a, let's say, as a studio, right? So yeah, I would say that. And then at the same time, one more thing that was, let's say, a challenge to begin with was the business side of things. I think none of us studied business. So learning how to monetize an idea was something that we had to learn over time. And of course, we haven't sold any single copy of Catatonic game right now because it's still in development. But we've learned a lot from this process. And thankfully, because of our community's support, we did raise funds through Kickstarter. Thank God for that, and which would aid us in finishing the first episode and hopefully, being able to, let's say, monetize our game. Right, at the end of the day, it's good to be passionate about something, but it's also better if you could monetize your passion.
You have
Right?
to pay the bills at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, you have to pay the
Players
bills.
do not realize that, sadly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, they don't.
Sadly. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. What about you?
Zikri?
Yeah, I do agree with the guys, especially with time management. But other than that, let me just tell you, creating puzzles, God, puzzles take a lot of times, like a lot of time. Like just one puzzle would take us like at least how many hours, Ahmed? God,
I don't know, like 8 hours, if not more.
With
eight
you
hours.
too, yeah, it would could take 8 hours. Is them being very
Uh,
very like nice about it.
yeah.
It takes them more than 8 hours. I wish it took them
Because
8 hours.
yeah, I think because a puzzle that seems easy to us, well, maybe a puzzle that seems easy to us might be, difficult for somebody else, but and vice versa, right?
Vice versa, exactly. Yeah,
And vice versa. And we had to learn this over time, I'd say.
Very true.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Anything else, by the way? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as for me, as a writer, it's kind of like funny because I tend to like think of ideas and concepts and dialogues when I'm in a busy environment.
I see.
Not really at home.
Oh, okay.
So during my break at work, I would write a couple a couple sentences here and there, and even at some point like finish like half a chapter maybe.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, and even like in coffee shops and these things. But at home, I don't know why, for some reason I don't get this itch to write anything.
I see.
But yeah, so one of the hardest things that I have to like learn is to be more flexible. So
see.
whether I'm in a busy environment or I'm at home, I'd still focus on writing and bringing those ideas to life.
I see. That must have been a special coffee for you, right? To have all those inspirations and ideas.
In fact, actually, I was
agreed,
with my cousin. Yeah, I was with my cousin, so it made it more special even.
True. Very true. Family again. Family. True. Very true.
Yeah, of course.
Very true. Thank you for that. Okay. So again, by the way, a more personal question from me would be how each one of you have changed as a person in other territories of your own personal life from working together on this game. So from being a game developer, how have you changed in other territories, so outside the video game industry, in your personal life, if there of course was any change or were any changes?
I could speak for everyone on this. I would say the biggest change, at least that I've seen from, like my fellow co-founders and cousins, is that they're more forward. They can, we were all more, I'd say, introverted, whereas now we're more up to like talking to people. And one of the things, at least for me on a personal level, I would say I started, not like overthinking things and just starting to go with the flow more and more, and not to just, believe that like, and not to expect things. That is one thing I would say. That I started to just not expect things and started to just work on things step by step, instead of just work on things and expect them to happen immediately. That is on my personal level. I don't know about Ahmed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, statement really, because given my job, I am expected to be more extroverted because at the end of the day, it is business development, right? So it's more so like sales, right? You have to be at the forefront and lead generation and whatnot. It's definitely not what I'm doing with Catatonic game, right? So it does introduce a different kind of, let's say, a layer. Working with game development, I did carry over some skills that I learned from game development over to my job, and vice versa. So I'd say it's been a learning experience, and it does help that. So my job, the unique thing about it is that I do actually communicate with the gaming sector, right? So the gaming sector, either internally or outside of Bahrain, I do actually have those, let's say, meetings with them. So speaking their language definitely does help, especially when it comes to, let's say, lead generation and bringing in my case, bringing in, let's say, investment into the country here in Bahrain, right? So because I'm a game developer first, I did learn those, let's say, the lingo, the language, the process, which actually aids me in my job as well. Funny enough, it's very ironic, right? People find ways to escape their jobs, but the funny thing is, I did learn a lot from game development, a Catatonic game, which I then carried over to my full-time job, and vice versa. It's weird, but it happened somehow.
True. What about you?
I would say multitasking and time management.
Okay.
I'm the kind of person that can only do one thing a day. Like I say, I come back home from work, I'm really tired. I just want to play video games or just watch a TV show and chill. But now I have to, kind of work on Catatonic and do other stuff as well.
I see.
So yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
You gotta be able to wear different hats, and handle multiple tasks at the same time. So, like I mentioned, like you have to be more flexible. Like I mentioned, I'm more, I come up with ideas in a busy environment, but yeah, I have to be able like to learn how to, come up with ideas even at home.
I see.
Even if I'm like I would dream of these ideas, So I have to be more like flexible, so to speak.
I see. So speaking of changes, by the way, how each one of you changed as a player from the player perspective from being a game developer for so many years now?
From my side, so I weirdly enough, ever since we started making video games, I don't play as many video games as I'd like to.
I see.
Which is, but every time I play a video game, most of the time it would be, if I'm playing like a story bit level, like a story based video game, I'd really look at the puzzles in the game. That's one of the things that I start looking at. Like, hey, look, this is something that we could implement. It could be a 3D game, could be, so I was playing Harry Potter, the Harry Potter game. What was it called? The Hogwarts Legacy.
Hogwarts Legacy, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. So I was playing the game and I was looking at the puzzles. I'm like, hey, look, this is something that we could use. And I'd call Muhammad. I'd be like, hey, look, this is a puzzle that we can. We did eventually use it in.
By the way, thank you for that, Forrest. Honestly.
Yeah. So that is one of the puzzles that we actually did implement in the game, but it's still not we still haven't finished it in the game yet. But that is something that we do. At least for me, I look at it and I'm like, hey, look, this game, this is a puzzle that we could do. And Muhammad and I, so sometimes Ahmed and Muhammad, because they're twin brothers, so whatever they do together. So sometimes they get busy. So Muhammad and I would sit with each other and we'd go to my place or his place and we play a lot of video games. He also has a folder for like catatonic based games and we'd play these video games, enjoy it, have fun. But at the same time, like it could be me playing or him playing and we take notes and like, hey, look, this is something that we can use. So for platformers, hey, why don't we use something like this? And things like that. So we just try to look at, so it became more of research than fun. But sometimes we do obviously like every now and then we'd like play a little bit of Mario Party or something like that, just to just to take off the edge
just
and
to
just
have the
enjoy
fun,
it.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And even then we still get something. You're like, hey.
The creative process doesn't stop there,
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. No.
I see. What about you?
I'd say so. Before working on Catatonic, I used to make mods for Street Fighter V. So I did have a different perspective when it came to, let's see, understanding the ins and outs of how characters worked in certain games. But I was limited to that, right? To fighting games. Yes, I played other games. Of course, I love other games, but primarily I'd say the games that I played the most were fighting games. But now, ever since I started working on Catatonic game with the guys like 4 years ago, it did expose me to other games, and I feel like my palette now has become more diverse. So I'm open to playing all sorts of games, really, games that I've never played before. Even games like my backlog right now has like 100+ games, right? Games that I'd love to play, but I don't have the time for at the moment. But yeah, I'd say that's something definitely that I've learned personally from developing Catatonic game and working with the other co-founders as well, is to have a diverse palette for video games, and something that I love. I love more games now, not just fighting games, and that's it, right?
Thank you for that. What about you?
Zikri.
I'll
Yeah.
go. I can go
Exactly
first.
what Forrest. Yeah.
You want
You
to
want to
go
go?
first?
Yeah. All right. So exactly what Forrest said. Plus, what I would like to add is, I personally think every game dev should download Mario Maker.
Okay.
That helped us a lot. I think it's my most played game this year, actually.
Okay.
When it comes to the platforming aspects of it.
I see. Thank you for that. What
I'd
about
like
you?
to add on the platforming aspects. As I mentioned, I'm more into like those, classic games. And, on the Nintendo NES or the Famicom, there are a lot of platforming games. So it's nice to see how each platforming works a different way. Sometimes in Castlevania, for example, you'd have a dissolving platform. Sometimes it will be like a slippery platform.
True.
So back then, I would play these games without really realizing how these things work. But now with Catatonic and more games to come, I'm able to look at things differently, from more of a game developer perspective. So it was nice to go back and have a different mindset playing these games again.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah, but of course, this doesn't mean that we don't enjoy video games. I mean, the other day we were playing Mario Party, and then we play Mario Kart every now and then, and those party games. It does keep us going, and it refreshes us, right?
I will start playing the Indiana Jones game as soon as this is over.
Nice. I have to play that too. I have to start playing that too.
I just got it downloaded.
Nice. I can relate to that. Yeah. It's always interesting to like think about it, that we as kids always had the time to play, but not enough money to buy all the games that we would like to play, right? But now as adults, we have probably the money to buy more games, but we do not have that much time to play. Yeah, exactly. It's so weird, right? So yeah. Very true. Okay, speaking, by the way, you mentioned episode 1. So how many episodes are you guys planning to add to the full package? So it will be like episode 1, but how many more episodes would you like to have?
So right now, officially, we have 5 episodes that are, that could change. Obviously, we might include episode 3 and 4 together, or 3, 4. We don't know what happens, but right now, as it stands, it's 5 episodes. Each episode, I'd say, is around 3 to 5 hours long.
Okay.
Just depends on the
That's
episode.
A long game, then. That's a long game.
Yeah. They're games by themselves. So but we were going to release it all together and make it like one 8-hour game, but then we were like, hey, we can finish each episode by itself and then flesh out each chapter by itself. Give each chapter, its well deserved flowers. But yeah, this is how it's going to be done. The first episode should hopefully it should be out sometime in 2025. We're thinking maybe around the summertime, but that could change obviously with indie games. You never know, right?
True.
But that's the goal.
Nice.
Definitely, we're
sorry. No, go for it.
No, it's just like Faris said, we are considering consolidating games. As it stands right now, we've raised funds on Kickstarter. We've bootstrapped most of the game ourselves. Of course, friends and family and whatnot. But should we get a publisher or another mechanism of funding, then this could definitely expedite the release and development of Catatonic game. But as it stands right now, it is 5 episodes, as far as mentioned.
Are they connected, by the way, to each other, or
Yes.
story-wise?
Yes.
I see.
So similar to how like Bully, similar to how like Bully, it's like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and each chapter focuses on like each different, like the one of them is about the jocks and the bullies, the nerds, or the greasers, or whatever. So something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, it is also like the Telltale games as well.
Love those. Yeah.
Love those games as well. Yeah, I'd say that's where the inspiration came about. But yeah, initially we wanted to release Catatonic as one release, as a one entry. But given budget reasons, really, primarily it came down to budget, because again, we're bootstrapping the entire game ourselves, and then with Kickstarter, hopefully we could expedite the development.
True. You guys would like to add anything, by the way?
Zikri?
I feel like all have been said regarding the what's coming for the Catatonic scheme.
Okay.
Yes.
You have spoken, by the way, about the puzzles as well. What was the goal with the difficulty settings of the puzzles you will have in your game? Did you
let Zikri answer that one?
Hard or easy puzzle?
I would say they're medium.
Okay.
And kind of medium, I would say. The puzzles are very similar to games like Silent Hill and Resident Evil.
I see.
When you'll have to collect like an item and then combine another item for you to use it in a specific spot.
I see.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I see.
What I could add to it, I think the further along you progress in the game, the harder the puzzles get, because at the beginning it should be easy, and then slightly progressing, and because the same thing with the mind, right? How it works, you can't just straight ahead go with the hardest thing and then expect people to just solve it. Then that would turn everyone off from the game. But once you kind of like train them to like understand like how the puzzles are gonna work, and some of them are very creative, some of them are straightforward. It just depends on how you think. Sometimes you'd need to think outside of the box. Sometimes you kind of think like, hey, look, just let me think with common sense, and that's I'd say how it works.
I'd say the cool thing is we went with a cartoony kind of art style and premise, because cartoon worlds don't really play by our world's physics, right? We could be liberal with how physics works in our game, right? Especially the 1930s, 1920s cartoons, where it was a bit of a trip, right? It felt like an LSD kind of trip.
True, you can combine everything, right? Together. Yeah.
So look, that's good and bad at the same time, because when do we know when to draw the line? And sometimes we feel like things might be a bit more straightforward, but we should be more creative about them. But it does definitely help in the long run, having that creative liberty when it comes to designing the puzzles. One more thing also to add, I think so each chapter would have emphasis on certain things. For example, chapter 2 would have more dialogue, more character interactions, more side quests. It will be more grounded in narrative and storytelling, especially within that noir kind of aesthetic and atmosphere. The more you progress throughout the game, each chapter would kind of spotlight one mechanic or one feature of Catatonic game. Like, for example, one chapter would have a lot of mini games within a certain objective. Of course, it won't just be random mini games. It won't be like WarioWare, for example, where you just play mini games, right? No. There will be mini games with a purpose, right? Mini games that you play where you collect certain things and whatnot. But yeah, the more you play Catatonic, the more you realize, oh, wait a second, it's not a straightforward linear puzzle platformer. There is more here that meets the eye.
I see. You also told us that there will be like side quests, and also you can miss some elements if you are not searching for them when you would like to get to the boss. Are these key elements and side quests can like lead up to players like they are missing something that's a very core story elements, or they are not like core story oriented?
I think
elements
most
or
of the
segments.
side quests we have do include the clues. So
Okay.
let's say if you finish the side quest, you'll get a clue that would help you
I see.
beat the boss.
I see.
Yeah.
See.
There was, so this was initially challenging, especially when it comes to the boss battles. We wanted to balance them out somehow.
I see.
Yes, boss battles do get harder if you don't have enough clues,
I see.
but we came
That
up
makes
with a
sense,
really yeah, I mean, it does make sense. We want to encourage players to explore more, to collect
True,
more
true,
clues, to
true.
speak to the NPC characters. But I believe we came up with a mechanic. It's not really an RNG mechanic. It's more like something that kind of evens out the kind of experience, right? It's not a mechanic that we came up with from scratch. Of course, we've kind of borrowed it from other games, right?
I see.
That kind of balances out the boss battles, which would, even if the player did not, even if a player collected only certain clues that were mandatory, the player could still finish the boss battles, beat the boss battles, but they will definitely be harder.
I see.
Yeah, but they're beatable. It's so like a soft lock where the players would get stuck
True, true,
and they
true.
can't do anything about it. Yeah.
I see. Thank you for that. We have spoken, by the way, a lot of topics here. Before I will go into the questions from my community and also some other closing questions, is there anything that we missed talking about? Is there anything like personal topic, game development topic, the game itself, and the topic about the game that you would like to talk about or add to our conversation here that we might miss?
I think there was a really cool feature that we did not mention.
Okay.
It was the crafting mechanic. Maybe my brother can talk about it.
Which mechanic specifically?
The
crafting.
crafting
Yeah,
mechanic.
yeah. So the crafting mechanic. I mean, like Zachary said, it is inspired by games like Resident Evil, for example, where you would combine certain items. We don't want our game to be Minecraft, right? We don't want to have complicated, crafting
You
mechanic.
switch to 3D universe and hey.
Yeah,
We want
and
it to make as much money as Minecraft, but we don't want it to be like
True,
of course,
true,
I mean,
true.
it's definitely a success story, right?
True.
But yeah, our game at the end of the day, it's not a survival, game where you have to craft items and whatnot. It's
Maybe
not that
next
kind
game, right?
Maybe
Who
next
knows?
game.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Never know.
I mean,
So
I would.
perhaps
Yeah.
one thing to add from my end, maybe this could lead to Faris's point as well, is the voice actors that we have on board, right? So, and thankfully, a lot of these voice actors that we have on board, despite them being celebrities, let's say in the voice acting space, they were kind enough to collaborate with us on Catatonic game, of course, and their official participation does really, it does help elevate the Catatonic game as a game, right? The likes of Leilani Shu, for example, who played a role in The Mandalorian, right? That's a Hollywood series. Linda Young, who plays our favorite villain, Frieza, right? And of course you have the likes of Doug Walker, who plays Forrest Hanks, and Bootsy, one of the internet characters, who plays a role in the Angry Video Game Nerd / Board Games, Board James, series on YouTube. It does help having them on board on this project, right? Yeah, so I'll pass it over to Forrest, perhaps for him to kind of.
Yeah, I'd say like one of the things. It's not something that we didn't mention, but just to like reiterate, I'd say what most people have seen from Catatonic is nothing compared to what they're about to see when the game is out. There's a lot of things that we haven't shown yet and we haven't talked about yet, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to really enjoy this game. Just there's a lot of heart and a lot of passion that that was put into this game, and we're honestly like for it being technically our first release game, sometimes it's hard to get that game out and to get people to play the game, and just to see what we could do. But we're honestly just very proud of the work that we have done so far, and we're also very excited to show people what we can do. And especially being from Bahrain, most people don't even know where Bahrain is or can't point out in a map. We've gone through a lot of challenges, but just having this game is something that's very special, and we just want people to know that we really did put everything that we have into it, and we also have a lot of other games in line. after Catatonic, so it doesn't stop with Catatonic game.
Nice, nice.
So it doesn't matter how, if it does well, if it doesn't, we still have a lot of other games and a lot of
I
other
respect
ideas.
that. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
No problem.
Are you guys down, by the way, to go into some community questions?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us know if you have any questions. Let us know. We have spoken about a lot of topics here. Where is my mouse, by the way? Can't find. Oh, there you go. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know. Sorry. Let us know. Any questions? Bármilyen kérdés? Any questions? Oh, there is a question from Inu. Okay. Let me translate it. So why? What was the choice behind the cat protagonist? She says that sorry if this question was already answered, but she just came back. Yeah, what she mentioned is that we talked about it, that the game Catatonic reminded her for Cuphead's words, the series and the game as well. Yeah. Thank you for the question, by the way.
So I think there's two things that kind of led to us having, Cat as our main character. So Katrina the cat. One of them is the dream that we spoke about.
Dream, yeah.
Ahmed had a dream
True,
of
true,
the
true.
cat. And Ahmed and Muhammad Zikri, they're huge cat lovers.
Okay.
Muhammad, I think, has like 2-3 cats at his
Nice,
house.
nice.
So and it's a cute cat. So you can never say no to having a cat.
True.
And we wanted to kind of show people the perspective of the world inside of the cat's head. So that's kind of something that why we picked a cat for our character. And I think Ahmed might have also a few things to add as well to what I just said.
Yeah, I'd say the narrative really revolves around what's the cat's fears, right? What cats really fear, and that's why our biggest villain is the vet character, right? The cats, stereotypically are scared of like the vets being one thing that they're afraid of, right? And also one thing maybe to note, in our region, we don't have games with let's say a female protagonist.
I see.
So having a female protagonist there, a cat, is it something different, right? Something that we'd like to also showcase. It's a form of empowerment as well. I know us being guys, perhaps we don't understand it from a female's point of view, but it is something that we'd like to also, perhaps illustrate and showcase in our game.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, by the way, for the question and the answer as well. Thank you. Oh, Lukács is asking favorite in-game music. Okay.
Muhammad Zikri, I'll let Zikri, our musician, answer.
What was the question again?
Favorite in-game music.
Favorite in-game music. I would say the main theme of the game.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Respect that. Nice. Thank you again for the question and answer as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, any more question? Bármilyen más kérdés? Any more question? Also, by the way, I will include again the Steam page of the game because I did that at the beginning of the stream, but the highlights went down because it was on a timer. Let me do that so people can check it out.
Yeah.
Who might not be on my Discord.
Perhaps it might be a good idea also to, even though we did raise our Kickstarter funds, there is more information in the video that we have on our Kickstarter page, but also content of the Kickstarter page as well. It illustrates everything.
Yeah, I will link it. I did link it in my Discord as well. It's just like if there would be someone who is not in my Discord.
There is some concept art there, some teasers that yet to be released.
Relates to it from my Twitch chat as well. Thank you for letting me know that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Any more questions? Bármilyen más kérdés? Any more questions? Let us know. Let us know. While we are waiting for questions, by the way, I know that there were some rewards for the Kickstarter bakers with some physical editions, but are you guys also like planning to have physical editions outside the Kickstarter zone? So for those people who would like to buy the game separately from the Kickstarter campaign? Because I'm a fan of like
We
physical editions. That's why I'm
yeah,
asking.
look, for me, my cousins know this. I don't buy digital. I buy physical,
Respect
and
that
that's
again. Respect that.
I'm a huge physical guy.
Me too.
So
Me too.
that is, there should be a limited run of
Nice.
physical
Nice.
copies.
Nice.
We're
Nice.
not
Nice.
sure
Nice.
yet. Obviously, it's all based on the publishers that we get.
I see.
So it's all going to be based on that. If not, it's going to be very, very limited.
I see.
If It depends on the region as well. Depends on how many copies are being sold, and
Let
maybe
me know if
just
there is
yeah.
some for me to buy. Let me know.
Yeah,
Let me know.
yes. There. If there is, you're gonna get a specific order for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe one question that was raised. So during our Kickstarter campaign, one question was raised by one of our backers was related to the DR. I think the DRM free copy, having a copy outside of Steam, being the only store that we.
Yeah, GOG.
Yeah, exactly. So we're considering actually GOG, Edge.io, and other platforms to distribute Catatonic game. Of course, that backer would get a DRM free. We'll definitely get a DRM free copy because they've asked for it.
Yeah.
But we're also open to distributing that on a larger scale. It does help that it's a digital copy, right, of the game.
True.
Yeah, but definitely having a limited edition, physical copy of the game is something that we're definitely considering. But it really depends on the publishers. We're still in conversations with some of them, of course, but we're open to meeting more publishers, of course.
True. Yeah, but in case of your game, I think it would totally make sense, right? To have this physical edition, even like a small figurine that was a reward in your Kickstarter campaign as well. So, in my opinion, at least, it would totally make sense.
Yeah,
one of the items that are going to be in the collector's edition is a vinyl, like the vinyls
Nice.
of the soundtrack of the game, and I think that would be a very nice thing to add for anyone, honestly, just
True,
because it's
very
because of the
true.
music. It's very jazzy, very
Very true.
so you can play it and just smoke a
Just
cigar
vibe,
and
yeah.
drink yeah.
Very true. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay. Any more questions, by the way, ladies and gentlemen? Any more questions? So one of the closing questions, which will be a more personal question again for me, and I hope that you won't mind it, like, do you guys feel like you found yourself in life now that you make games together? Like you are now at the right place, right time? Because you mentioned it was always a dream of all of you to make games, even if it's like together making games, even if it's like on a personal level making video games. Do you feel like now that you made and started to make this game of yours together, now you feel like you found yourself in life for a better position, like having those jobs, of course, but still like living your dream as well, or still things will come
For me, I would say yes, 100%. I feel like, especially because when we started, I was still doing university. So this was, I think we started during like my last year in university, and then I did my master's degree. But for me, it became a thing like, hey, I never liked working for anyone or under anyone, and I wanted something like, I wanted this to be my full time. So there's a lot of passion that comes into it from my side, at least, like where I want this to be my job, where I don't need to like be under anyone. This is my company, where I get to like call the shots in a way.
True.
In general, it's like, ever since, I think for all of us who were younger, we always knew that we were gonna be in this creative field. It was just the matter of question of like what and how and when. And I think this is our true calling, because this is something that, almost 5 years now of us working with each other, and there was no day that came and we're like, hey, look, we can't do this, let's just quit. No, there might be some days where we're like, hey, like, hello, like, I can't be in this anymore, I can't, or like, it's just like
but
mental,
you push
like a
each
mental
other
thing.
towards, right, and don't
Yes,
let anyone like
yes,
fail or
yes,
stop. Yeah.
yes, yeah. There has been days where like we want to quit, but it's just mental exhaustion. But
True.
I think those were more of the early days, and now it's like we're all in. We went all in, and even the money that we put in, it's like this is all of our money. We put in everything that we have for this to work, and because we really really believe that this is going to work.
True,
If this doesn't work, we still have a plan B for
It's
like our
real.
next.
It's real, in my opinion, because it's unique, and like we talked about it, everything is very unique, and it's rare what you are doing now. So I believe in you guys and in your games.
Thank you, Remulto. Thank you so much, Ahmed.
For honestly, it's a really good question. It's something that I haven't really thought about, really, to be honest with you,
I see.
before this call. Is it my calling? Am I content with where I am right now? So Muhammad, my twin brother, and we've always wanted to be filmmakers, right? We wanted to direct movies, to have our own film studio, right? It's not something that's not really common here as well, where we live in Bahrain, right? We wanted to be the first in that field. I think that's gradually shifted towards being pioneers in the game development space, especially on a regional scale. It's a dream that we're still aiming to achieve. Of course, we're lucky enough to have achieved some feats while working on Catatonic game, being the first in certain things. But I think being content is one thing, and we will continue to strive for that. Right? There's different things really to make you content with your life.
True,
right?
true, very true.
And I wouldn't say that this is it, but it's definitely something that is a stepping stone towards achieving that,
I see.
to be content, right?
Will you choose, by the way, games or movies? I know it's a hard
Um,
question, and it's always the
it's a-
evil part in me asking the questions, because it's like
It's a very
always
hard
easier
question.
to ask,
Very hard
right,
question.
than answer. I
Yeah.
hate to choose. I hate to choose between things. So
Yeah, so why choose to begin with, right?
true,
Why
true,
not do
true,
both?
true. Yeah, but I
So,
believe that something is more closer to you, like, in a
yeah,
personal
I
level,
think
right?
more so now I am gravitating towards games
I see.
and game
I
development.
see.
I do prefer the interactive medium, having to express creative ideas and to implement storytelling through an interactive medium.
True.
I think
And also,
the best thing
yeah,
about video games, right, what you can say, Ahmed, is that like it is kind of like a film, right?
True.
It's some
yeah,
sort of movie, right? And obviously it depends on the game that you're playing, but
True.
especially with story-driven games, it's like a movie. It's like you
Just with
feel the
interaction with
characters.
you, with the player. Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like that's what makes video games really cool, because it's like, hey, look, I can watch a movie, but I can also control the outcomes of that
True.
movie,
True.
which is
Very
is
true.
a fun thing.
Very true. Very true.
so definitely. I mean, I am doing both now, and in one shape or form, right? Where we're producing a playable movie, a playable
True. True.
cartoon,
True.
right? So,
But let me know
yeah.
if your movies will be in the making,
Oh,
okay?
for
And we have to
sure.
make another call.
We will,
Definitely,
maybe it's also it's also in the bucket list. We're gonna make a movie at one point.
Nice,
Just
nice, nice, nice. Let me know
one
about
step at
it.
a time.
True, true, true. Very true, very true, very true. What about you?
basically.
Oh yes, 100%. As a side gig for now, and hopefully, to be a full-time thing one day. We're hoping. Um, what else? I've always wanted to create a video game as a child.
I see.
Okay, so this goes out to my inner child in a way. Yeah.
Thank you for that. What about you?
The fact that we're gamers at heart also helped, because we've been playing games for so long. Like my cousin mentioned, Mohammed. He talked about, you know, even during childhood he would play games. So I feel like everything was done at the right place at the right time.
True.
I feel like hopefully a lot of good things will come in the future.
I believe in that. I believe in that. Thank you for that. Like I said, by the way, we talked about a lot of topics, and we also got some questions from the chat that have been answered, and I'm very thankful for that as well. My closing question would be, if you would have to name like the ultimate core message of your game, Catatonic, what would be that message? Because we talked about a lot of like things that influenced you on a personal level, on a team level, video games, like personal life. But what would be that like ultimate core message that you always wanted to give to the players with your game?
from my side, I would say is don't judge a book by its cover.
I see.
Try to understand the person that, try to understand someone before you judge them,
True.
right? So that would be what I believe the players could take away from Catatonic game once
I
they're
see.
done from the
I see.
game.
Thank you for that. What about you?
I think one maybe message that I'd like to communicate is that life is not really just about a competition, right?
Okay.
I played so many fighting games on a competitive kind of scale. I've always been a competitive person, but with Catatonic game, we want to bring it back to basics, to nostalgia, to reliving your childhood. So I'd say, the big message that I want to convey is it's okay to relive your childhood. It's okay to play games for the story.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. Just well said by Ahmed and Faras.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What about you?
The beautiful thing about Catatonic and its story is that it's kind of fish out of water story for Katrina.
I see.
She's in this world, and what I like about our character is the fact she's brave despite starting like off as being scared and scared of the unknown and not knowing where to go. But eventually she learns how to overcome these obstacles. So it's kind of you can learn a thing or two and apply it in your life.
True.
Never be afraid to take any risks. So that's basically the whole like premise of the game,
Nice. And that's also like the story of you together making your games, like you mentioned it
Exactly.
at the beginning of the
Yes.
interview, right? That you came from a background where not knowing how to like make games, but you wanted it because it was a dream and you learned it by step, right? So it's like
Well
the
said.
core story of
Yeah,
your
well
life as well. I love that. Thank you again, by the way, for everything that we talked about here. Your honesty, I appreciate your honesty as well about every topic that we
Thank you so
touched,
much.
and also like the exclusive footage. Thank you. It was really heartwarming for me to see those clips, and you guys showed it to my community and everyone who will be watching back our VOD or YouTube edited version at a later date. Thank you so much. And
Thank you
Really
so much.
also thank you
Really,
for
really
those
appreciate it.
people. Thank you so much. And thank you, by the way, for also the community questions as well. Like I said, I will need some more of your minutes of stream, but for those who are watching us live, don't forget to check out the Steam page and also the Kickstarter page of Catatonic game. Wait for the game next year, hopefully summertime, right? Summertime, vibe time, and Catatonic
Hopefully.
game. So be on the lookout for the game. And yeah, thanks everyone who joined us for today's episode of my Dev Live show. And yeah, have a great day, night, or evening, depending where you live, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks everyone. Bye bye. And don't forget to be on the lookout for the game. Promotion time, right? Promotion time.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Appreciate it.